We looking good?
Yes, you look great.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Fall Down Trees Night Terrors album release pizza party. Nolin's birthday.
Happy birthday, Nolin.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Nolan.
birthday, Nolin.
Main event. Wait a second.
Penny whistle.
There you go.
There you go.
No, I can't do it. I'm sorry.
It's a thought that counts.
Yeah, we're a better band than that, I promise.
I'll tell you what, he doesn't do that for everybody, Nolin.
I don't know. Here, you want to slide over here a little
Sure.
closer to me?
Sure.
He doesn't hit the penny whistle for everybody.
All right, so it is Nolan's birthday. Our album came out today. We are very excited about it. We appreciate all of you joining us here for the pizza party. We did have pizza. We got ours at Guy's here in Anderson, and it was absolutely delicious. I hope you're enjoying your pizza too. You got Michael Porkchop Branch here with me. He is a bass player, songwriter, singer, guitar player, percussionist, just about anything we need him to be. We got Towns Owens is here with us as well. Towns is our spirit animal. He provides some backing vocals too. Nolan McAllister over there, he's playing the box, but he's also a saxophone wizard. We are a drummerless band. Don't get it mixed up. We do not have a drummer.
No.
We just got a saxophone player that's talented enough where he can make that box sound really good. So, I'm Dustin Owens, songwriter, singer, guitar player. Emmy Lou Owens is over here too. Emmy Lou.
Hello, Emily.
Hello. Emmy Lou is producing. Emmy Lou's producing the live stream for us tonight. And you're also messaging with her if you're messaging on the social media channels. What we're here to promote is our brand new album, Night Terrors. We are really excited about it. We started working on it almost a year ago now, and it's been a big build up to the release. So we're going to talk a good bit about that, and we're going to play you a song here in just a little while too. So stick around. First thing you should know: where to find the album. So Emmy Lou is going to post a link in there right now to our DistroKid page. Remember the DistroKid page?
Yeah.
That has links to all of our social media channels. It also has links to all of the places where you can stream the album: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal. It's on iHeartRadio. You can create reels on Facebook and Instagram and add the songs to your reels. You can do the same thing on TikTok, on YouTube. All those links are in there, as well as a link to GuttersvilleRecords.com. So Guttersville is our record label, and when I say our record label, I mean it is a record label made up of musicians just like us. We kind of started in this area, Anderson, Belton, kind of upstate. I had to throw Belton in there for Brandon King. Upstate of South Carolina. It's a wide variety of music, different styles of music, but we all kind of fit together in our love for just being real folks that make music, right? We all played together when we were in our teens and early 20s, and then grew up and got jobs, and even though we were all kind of living adult lives, we were all writing and recording on the side. So we decided we needed to do something with all of that. So we're really proud to be the first full-length album released from Guttersville Records. There's more stuff coming up. February 14th, Valentine's Day, is the new album from Chroma Combs. I was listening to that earlier today. It's got some electronic flourishes in there with a nice like indie folk feel. I'm really excited for that one to come out. Coming up in March is an EP from the Neon Dijons. That's a little harder rocking, like kind of think Queens of the Stone Age maybe. White Stripes, like garage rocky, a little bit heavier. And then we've got some good alt country-esque stuff coming out in April from Cowlick Moon.
Something for everybody.
Yeah, a little bit of something for everybody, and also all things for everybody. So
yes.
We encourage you to listen to all of those.
Yeah.
And you can find a link to GuttersvilleRecords.com. And please follow us on social media too, and we'll send lots of cool stuff your way. This is also kind of an announcement of what we have coming up. So the next thing that we're going to do, starting next week, is a podcast that directly relates to Night Terrors. So this is going to be kind of a preview of the podcast, if you will. We're going to go through, it's going to be digital liner notes. So we're going to go through each song. We're going to talk about the writing and the production of each song. Play you older versions, maybe old live versions of songs, even when they had different lyrics and things like that. Demo recordings, little clips. And then as we get through to the actual album versions, we'll do isolated vocal tracks so you can hear exactly how the harmonies sound. They sound better on the recordings that were released. I promise. You have plenty of opportunities to make fun of us. And so we're going to break all the songs down for you one episode at a time. So hopefully we'll get that launched in about a month, and you'll have an episode come out every week as we go through the entirety of the album. So we really hope you like that. The biggest thing that I'm here to ask you for today, Bernie Sanders style, is we need champions. So we've worked really, really hard on this album. Hopefully you'll see that as we go through the process of how we made it. We're really proud of it. We're pretty convinced that it's fantastic. And as self-critical as we all are, I think that's a pretty good indicator that it's pretty good. We can buy ads on social media. We can go out and play live shows. We can do all of those usual things, but we're not going to gain any momentum without you folks helping us out. So what we really ask for you to do, not a monetary donation, not even a time donation, it's a click donation. Go in and just share that DistroKid link that lets people get to all the streaming services. Share it with all of your friends. We really want you to listen to the album. It's intended to be listened to from beginning to end, kind of as a piece, and we really hope you love it. And if you do, tell everybody that you love it and share it. That's the way that people listen to music they've never heard before. Sometimes it's on the radio. We got played on the radio this morning.
Yeah.
You want to plug your
station? 92.1 WLHR is where I work at each day, and it's a country music station. I mix in a good bit of classic country with a few modern country folks I like. And then on Fridays, we have a segment called The Spotlight. It's a local artist. Being a local artist, I've always championed those local artists. I like that word you used earlier. And there are a lot of good artists that are doing original music around Northeast Georgia, upstate South Carolina, Western North Carolina, and they don't have a place to be heard on the traditional radio. And that's where I've been for so long. That's where you started.
Absolutely.
And so we
promoting local bands.
And so this morning we played one of the songs off the album Modern Prometheus, and gave a plug for this live stream tonight. So hopefully some of you are tuning in, and we do appreciate you doing that. But if you want to hear some good local music, I'm not saying that because I played our song this morning, but there's a lot of artists. We play that every Friday from 9:30 to 10. So be sure to tune in for that. And I got a bluegrass show on Saturdays. Tomorrow morning you can hear it from 9 to 10. Bluegrass from the Holler.
From the Holler.
Yeah.
So we've also submitted to playlists on Spotify. We've done everything we know to do. So what we need more than anything is for you folks to really help us get the word out and help us spread the word. That would mean a ton to us, and no band is anything without their fans. I think we'll call them our saplings.
The saplings? I don't know.
That's kind of cute.
It's cute. Splinters, I like that.
Well, the splinters, yeah, okay. Our splinters.
Yes.
We'll continue to workshop.
We're barking up the wrong tree, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we couldn't do it without you folks. If you know of podcasts that are looking for local artists, anybody that's trying to promote local artists, pop us in the comments, tag our social media pages. We want to do all of it. If you know of places that are looking for live music, same thing. We'd love to go out and play some of these songs. We sound like an 8-piece band in a lot of spots on the record when in fact it's just the 3 of us. But we can make a joyful noise. We can make a joyful noise live. So yeah, please link us to any of that. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. So first of all, one of the things that we noticed, this album kind of came from a tough spot in my life. I had gone through a divorce. I had to sell my house. I went through some tough stuff. And I was really lucky that I had a safety net to fall back on. I can't thank my parents enough for giving me a spot to come and my kids too to come and stay. And we put a shed out in the backyard, which works as my bedroom and my office space. And I started thinking about this album, and it's a concept album. It takes place over the course of one night in our main character's mind. As he comes in from the outside world and trying to be, brave and strong, and walks into this place of isolation with his records and his books and his musical instruments and the television and all of the things that he tries to use to pass the time. And one of the things that we noticed early on, because we've never made a record before.
No.
Pork Chop and I both went to school for production, but it was more focused on radio. Nolin went to school and got some production learning as well. But it's all very kind of introductory level, wouldn't you say? And so we knew how to mash the buttons, and we knew the concept behind a microphone, but we did not know how to make it work, and we definitely didn't know how to make it work in a 20 by 12 shed that's mostly plywood walls and mylar. So it took a lot of figuring out along the way. And one thing that we realized really early on is that the shed is an instrument, and it is a main character in the course of this performance. So if you saw any of the promo videos that we put out leading up to the album release, I know this very first one, it actually got kind of a negative response. It was it's weird. It's supposed to have sort of a dreamlike look, and it's really just walking through the yard, right? And I'm sure a lot of people were like, what does this mean? What does this mean? But that song is the beginning of the main character walking into the place of isolation, which is the shed. And you'll notice at the end of the clip, he's actually opening the door as he walks through, and that's the shift from Hand of God into Night Terrors. So, Emmy Lou, if you will, why don't you play that clip?
Tried to do my best most days. Too stubborn to leave, too numb to grieve, too dumb to pray. It Guess I tried to do my best.
Yes. It stopped.
It's done?
Yep, back on.
All right. Yeah, we're working on that part. It'll get smoother as the show goes on.
Sorry about that.
So you'll see in that video, it's telling that story. I really should have thought about it in advance, that nobody would know any of the Easter eggs that we buried in those videos until after they listened to the album.
Yeah.
But it made it kind of mysterious, right?
Yeah, but it was an interesting way to start off, you know, and I mean, this is a concept album.
It is.
And we'll get into more of that with our podcast more in depth. But I mean, I think that might be a good thing to say off the bat too. It's a concept album that runs through continuous. This album's made to be listened to. Don't put it on shuffle. I mean, if you enjoy the songs, listen to it on shuffle.
Right. Put it on playlists.
The first time you listen to it from track one all the way to the end, and you can kind of get a through line. And like I was just saying, we'll tell you more about that with the podcast coming up.
We also built it kind of like a record. So it starts at the beginning of the night, essentially at sunset, and ends the next morning at sunrise. It's 10 songs, 5 songs on side A and 5 songs on side B, and midnight lands right in the middle. And you'll notice that the songs do get progressively darker as the album progresses. So we did learn our way through all of this in here. We learned how to mic our instruments, and one of the major things that we were working on was to have atmosphere. And that was really important to us throughout the production, is for you to be able to, we wanted it to sound like it was coming from inside of your head. Another thing, not having a drummer in the band and not enough real space to even put drums in here if we wanted to, it was before we got the box. There are no drums on this record. There's tons of percussion, but there are no drums. There are no cymbals at all, which is something Porkchop brought up, which I think really sets the sound apart. So a few of the things that we used. First of all, a metal filing cabinet. That's right, over there to the side. That was our Doom sounding kit. So on the heavy songs, it is me just beating the brakes off of that metal filing cabinet. I've also got a small wooden filing cabinet. Towns, would you bring me the thumbtacks? There's a box of... Oh, Nolan's got them. Never mind. So we had a wooden filing cabinet.
Very important.
Yeah, this is the thing. The first few times that we did this, it was going to be different percussion on each song. The struggles of getting this stuff to actually sound good in a mic cannot be underestimated. Like, it was a lot of movement, an inch here, an inch there. Once we figured out that you could hit the side of the wood filing cabinet and then do this with your thumbtacks, it gave us a boom chick that is the basis of most popular music rhythms. So that it was this box of thumbtacks. We beat it to death over the course of the recording. It's going to go into the Fall Down Trees Museum of recorded history one of these days. Another cool thing that we did percussion-wise is a metal double-walled stainless steel water dish and a mallet that belonged to my papa, who one of the songs on the album was actually inspired by him. So yeah, this was made by Grady Gray for my papa. They were buddies. So this mallet, why you thought I was going to throw it at you? The dog water dish, and then a wood 2x4 block is what we used to create the percussion for Water Finds Its Way. And I had to fill the water dish about halfway up to get the sound exactly like I wanted it. So when you watch the clip from Water Finds Its Way, notice the pieces in the background are actually the pieces from the percussion of the song. You can go with the clip. Look.
You can change your name to Job, don a scapular and robe, and pray what goes around.
You gotta tell us when it starts and when it stops.
But times change, water finds its way. No one can hope to stand against the tide. I guess I tried to do my best.
Alright, Water Finds Its Way. So you see all of our little percussion pieces there in the song. That's one song that was definitely a COVID song that carried over. Some of the songs are a little more modern, so they were written kind of in the last 3-4 years, something like that. Some of the songs are really, really old. One of the advantages of this album was that I came in with time that I hadn't had in ages, because I'd gotten laid off, so I didn't have a full-time job, and it was just picking up work wherever I could. So I came in with time that I hadn't had in ages, a studio that was set up 24 hours a day that I'd never had, and at least 50 songs that I felt good about actually putting on an album. And so it let us think about the concept and pull songs that we already had and fit them into the concept.
And I want to point out that with that number of songs, you're a fan of music history, and I am too. Most people go to write a concept album with nothing, and they start,
right,
and it's easier that way. It was amazing how some of these songs, the ones that were older, we didn't have to shoehorn them in. I mean, they were somehow through fate or whatever, they seemed to fit the theme of the album.
Absolutely. And I do think we had an advantage, because one struggle that people have with concept albums is not every song you write is a good song. And if you write all of your songs, I think that's the case for not just for us, but I think you could say it about Bob Dylan too, right? If you write all of your songs for the concept album, there's a chance that there's going to be a dud or two on there.
Yeah.
But one thing that we got to do was we got to say, these are the songs that are of the highest quality that we want to use. These are the songs that fit the concept, but also these are the songs that fit the vibe, right? We do have we're going to talk more about a future album coming up. It's going to be more roots oriented. Anybody that's listened to us for a while knows that we go out and play stone cold country stuff. We do get a little rootsier, traditional blues. But with this one, we kind of picked songs that the genre was fuzzy, and we felt like that fitted the fuzziness of the record, right?
Well, it fits the concept too.
Right.
It really does.
And it allowed us to have flow. So you'll notice that, like we were talking about, walking through the door at the end of Hand of God goes into the heaviness of Night Terrors. Sometimes those changes happen within songs. The song that Pork Chop played this morning, The Modern Prometheus, that is a song that has a very upbeat, almost sort of like punky sort of vibe to it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, almost ska-like.
Almost ska-like, yeah. And then in the middle, we just buried a sax solo, which to me, and I'm going to hats off to Nolin here, that's my favorite part of the whole record is that sax solo. I guess we'll blow this secret before the podcast comes out. That solo was a single take of Nolin. First of all, he could only do one take because his face, he was almost dead by the time he was finished.
Yeah.
He knew that going in, so he made the most of it. But yeah, the solo was just the mics. We went through once. Chop and I were like just grinning and praying that nothing would break. We knew it. It was special when it happened. If you compare that to my Night Terrors solo where I did 147 takes
Which is impressive.
for 2 bars instead of 3.5 minutes.
Your persistence is impressive.
I don't give up.
Yeah.
I don't give up.
Yeah.
I might not get it right off, but I'm going to keep working at it. That's why it's taken us 20 years to put out a freaking record. That's why it took us so long to get here. But we promise the next one's coming out sooner. So, as our main character's sitting here thinking about life, and as I'm digging through these old songs, I'm thinking about the songs that relate to the things that I'm constantly thinking about at this point in time. And so one of them that's super important to me and that I love a lot is the song Shadow. I actually wrote it about Emmy Lou the day that I dropped her off in kindergarten, and I watched her, or maybe it was first grade, I watched her walk off to school by herself. So that was the source of this tune, and I think about it every time I watch the kids walk away to this day. So, Emmy Lou, you want to play us a little clip of Shadow?
I know you don't want me for a shadow.
So one thing that you'll see in that video clip is I think the only video clip of the place where the majority of the record was made. So not just in the shed, but at the desk. I worked at that desk all night long on nights that I had to be at work the next morning. I put a lot of hours in that chair. And you'll notice the things that surround me at that desk also. Pictures of Emmy Lou, pictures of Towns, dog Arlo, cat Zoe, our little artworks, things that remind me of why I sit there to work every day and why I do what it is that I do here, and the most important thing for me to put forth in the music. Another thing that's really cool about Shadow is I learned how to sing harmony. This is a thing we played in our live settings. We had worked and played with Pork Chop singing harmony vocals, for years, but only on a few songs,
Right.
and it was always a struggle. Nolin, who is classically, can I say you're classically trained? Nolin, who is freaking classically trained, would sit at the piano and try to play the notes for Pork Chop and I to be able to pick them out as we sang. Neither one of us are super strong singers, but, I mean, I'm loud.
strong in that sense.
In that sense, I
Yes.
can make a big racket.
Yeah.
But when I sat down to work on the demos, so I found out my issue's not my voice, it's my ears. I've been around too much live music for years. So when I sat down to work on the demos and I put headphones on, not only could I hear my lead vocals really well, but I could hear my lead and harmonies and I could hear them connect. And that had never really happened before. And so on this album, almost all of the harmony vocals are me, except for the Modern Prometheus, where you'll hear Pork Chop, Nolin, Emmylou, and Towns, and Pegasus. At the end of Pegasus, the kids join in with me too. The rest, I'm kind of doing it by myself. But one really fun thing about that is in learning that and figuring that out and singing to my own voice, I figured out how it worked. And now, when we come into practice, I can actually explain and hear what Pork Chop's trying to do. So if you go back and you listen to our Christmas EP, I Wish You Would. I listened to it the other day. It still works even after Christmas. I just skipped Silent Night and Away in a Manger. There's times. If you go back and listen to that, not only is Pork Chop singing harmony on that one, Nolin also jumps in with some bass harmony vocals. So the next album's definitely going to have more of a band feel in that regard.
Well, it's one of those things. We were working on this, I think, last February. Am I right about that? February or March, somewhere.
Yeah, we
there.
started February.
For this new album, Night Terrors. But we had this wild idea to put this Christmas EP out and just do it Spartan-like. Just do it. And the stuff that Dustin had already learned about harmony singing, he taught us, and we just gave it a shot. And it's really, it's cool to have it on record of us doing
that we can do it
of progressing. But as far as releases, it came out first. But if you really want to know it, you hit the nail on the head. Like, we learned this, he learned this through that. Nolin's classically trained. I'm just trained now. I'm not classically trained. So Dustin's teaching me, and our next album will have a lot more things like that on it. So it's kind of exciting, and it invigorates me to. I feel like it's a constant learning process, and in a most positive way. And it's this album especially is an artistic outlet, especially for you, but for us too, trying to figure out which parts go where and putting this album together. It's been exciting, man.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of this record that took place in the moment of the concept, right?
Yeah.
That took place, it was me in here by myself working late at night. I am really excited because we are a full band. We write together, we arrange together. I am really excited on the next album that you'll get to hear a little bit more of that, like you did on the Christmas EP. All right, let's play him another clip. This is another really old song. I kind of wrote this after my grandpa died years ago. And this was another one that I felt really like just fit the mood of that, like 2/3 of the way through the album, where our main character is really almost at the point of completely breaking down. The video, a few things happen. Well, let's just play the clip first. This one's called The Sins.
There was a time before the dust when strangers tried to earn his trust. Now they bid to fight and fuss about what they'll get once they.
So that was The Setting Sun. I think one of the things that we have to mention about this record is how much of an influence Tom Waits was.
You can hear it there.
Yeah, in that song in particular. It's in the production and the found sounds, the way each song is kind of its own little movie, and it's also there in the vocals. And that song is a great example, so is Night Terrors. The next one that we're going to play, of me doing things with my voice just through doing them, just through trying and pushing it as far as I could possibly push it to see where it goes. Another big thing on this album was subtraction. Anytime you get a new tool or a new toy, you want to use it as much as you possibly can. Just about all of these songs had way more recorded for them that actually made it on the final album. You'll get to hear some of that on the upcoming podcast. In this song, I went through and completely cut the saxophone. And the saxophone was phenomenal, and it always is. But I felt like it was pulling away from the chunky rhythm of the tune. And so we ended up cutting it. And Nolin, in one of the maybe 5 times over the course of the record that he put his foot down, said, hey man, that spot coming back out of the guitar solo, that sax, that's some of the best sax I've ever played. And I went back and I listened to it and I completely agreed. And so instead of adding all the sax back, we just put that one part in. Logically in my head, why would you wait 2/3 of the way through a song to introduce an instrument? But when you listen to it, it doesn't stand out because the sax is a constantly flowing piece over the course of the record. And so another good example of the amount of input that Porkchop and Nolin had in the production, in the arrangement, and in the final piece that we came across, but also a level of self-restraint. We learned pretty quickly that it was as much about taking away as it was about adding on. And another thing that should be noted is that these songs were written in advance for an acoustic guitar and a single vocal. That doesn't mean that they were completely arranged. We came into the studio and wrote the bass lines. Sometimes Porkchop would just have it down. Sometimes he'd pass it to me.
Mm-hmm.
We'd pass it back and forth until we started learning from each other and figuring something out.
Yeah.
We may spend a whole day working on the bass. The same thing can go with the rhythms that were throughout the songs, the backing vocals, the way that we were arranging the sax. There were a lot of times where it was take after take after take, just throwing stuff at the wall to see what would stick. To have the ability to do that, and have the time and the resources, like every band should be able to do that. It was a beautiful thing to me, and it's one of the things that level of restraint I think really comes through over the course of the record.
Well, it's one of those things too that I think that's something we learned. And you talked about learning the harmonies and learning, the recording techniques, which we'll really go into in the podcast. But learning that just because we can play a part, and it sounds fine.
It sounds fine,
but
right?
Sometimes you're like, hey, change this up. Let's change this rhythm. Let's change this bass line. Let's take the sax out here. Nolan says put the sax in here. It's a real collaborative effort, and I think, you never know. I think as we go forward, it's going to come quicker. We're gonna recognize, hey, let's do this, and I think that's how bands have always worked over the years.
And evolved, right?
Once they get their feet wet in the recording process, they're a lot quicker to say, let's try this, let's take this out. Hey, why don't you switch over here and do this?
Agreed.
Yeah, and so that's been real exciting too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the biggest things is when we get ready to play a live show, we're trying to get the songs down, right? We're all playing together simultaneously. We try to get the pieces down as best as we can to be able to perform and for that song to feel good. With this, we got to change a note. We got to say, hey, what if you did this note here instead of that one?
Yeah.
We got to really listen to what each other was doing without having to focus on what we were doing at the same time. Not only did that make me appreciate you guys as musicians even more than I already had, because you guys learn really fast too. That's one advantage that y'all have over me. But this time I also got to see, hey, it's not just they pick up a song really fast. They're doing things that I don't even realize they're doing that really make these songs. But it let us really think about each individual piece and hear and have influence on each individual piece that each of us play. All right, let's play one more clip. I think this is one of the most fun songs on there for me. We'll talk about it after. Why don't you play Shoot the Messenger for us, Emmy? Run for your life, you better run, Gabe. Run for your life, you better run, Gabe. Run for your life, you better run, Gabe. Run for your life, you better run. All right, so Shoot the Messenger. First of all, we found out Pork Chop could play the trumpet, which we did not know, and that he had a trumpet. We did not know that in advance.
I hadn't played it since high school, so it's been a long, long time.
Why did we do that? Did you bring it in specifically for that song?
You know, when we were in a different configuration and we were playing one day and somebody had a trumpet out.
Oh, yeah.
And I started messing around with it, and you're like, I don't know, you played the trumpet, and then I think that came to your mind. It's like, hey, why don't you bring that? And then
Nolin arranged the parts for our mariachi horn section over our blues folk.
Luckily, it's only about 4 or 5 notes, and it's within my range. And it's been so long that when I got done, I didn't. It didn't take long to record because just those 4 or 5 notes. But man, my whole face was vibrating.
Like you've been
hours.
using the weed eater,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, or a jackhammer or something.
Right.
Thought my whole face was vibrating, but hey, that was fun. It was kind of a throwback for me. I haven't really played trumpet in probably since 1995.
Well, one thing also that stands out to me about that song is when you brought all right, so all of you folks that work on musical instruments, you just mute this for a second because this is gonna drive you insane. But the keys were sticking.
Because it was an old trumpet. It wasn't even my original trumpet. My great uncle had given it to me. He had got it. He used to like to go to auctions, and he had given it to my grandmother. And she said, "Well, my grandson plays the trumpet," and so that's the trumpet. It's a beginner trumpet. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't done anything to it, played it, or anything. And maybe when I first got it, I blew into it. Keys were sticking, and there's no valve oil in the case because I don't play it regularly. I'm like, man, these valve. I was playing those 4 notes, and on the 3rd note, it would go, meow, it would eventually pop back up, but you don't need that. And I said, man, we need to put something in there, like something to lubricate those valves. And if you're a person that works on instruments, just turn off for 5 seconds. Dustin had some beard oil.
Daddy.
And
You use beard oil?
do you remember the scent? Was it
Cedar,
cedar
cedar scented.
It smelled like a forest.
It was Christmas trees,
It
man.
was wonderful. It was a wonderful scent. I got a little bit on my fingers, and I rubbed it into my beard afterwards. It was nice. But yeah, it worked. And I want to let everybody know. Hopefully, everybody's turned their volume back up. I went and bought some valves.
So it was a temporary fix.
It was temporary.
I'm telling you, Mr. Farrar.
That's another song like it really represents the late night. He's reading Mary Shelley for the modern Prometheus, and that part he's digging through the Dead Sea Scrolls and reading the Bible.
And by the way, I love the video that we made for that.
Yeah, I think that it was yours or Nolan's idea to try to have the pages flip without anybody actually touching them.
Yeah.
The amount of time I spent on that 22-second video to get the pages to consistently flip with a little handheld fan is way more than it was worth.
It looks great though.
But so that first verse is taken directly from the book of Enoch, from the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
The second verse is taken directly from the book of Daniel in the Holy Bible. And the third verse is taken directly from the book of Dustin. Gabe,
The book
I
of
see you
Isaiah.
coming. I say it. Yeah, Gabe, I see you coming, and I've been too tired to dream. I don't need interpretations of your high and mighty schemes. That's one of my favorite lines I've ever written. So you got the blues slide guitar, you got the mariachi horn section, the drop D acoustic guitar, the biblical
References,
lyrics.
yeah.
That's where I want to be.
It's one of my favorite songs on the album, and not because I'm playing trumpet. But when you were just playing it to us and saying, what do you think about this? I told you, I said, that is amazing.
That's another one where we got to teach you the bass line too.
Yeah,
Man, we worked on that one for like 6 hours, I think.
I don't think I remember how to play it. Now, so we'll have to listen to it, isolate it, and learn it. That's what we'll have to do.
All right, so Night Terrors. It's on all major streaming services. We're going to have a podcast coming up. If you follow our social profiles, we'll let you know when the first episode's going to come out. We're going to get a couple in advance so we can release them to you weekly on a schedule where we'll get even deeper into these songs and play you clips and stuff. Our next album's going to be called A Waste of Time. That's exactly what it's going to be. We're going to be a little more loose with this one. It's going to be a little rootsier. There's going to be more country. There's going to be more blues, stuff that has more of a defined genre, but no less storytelling. I think this is one of our best collections of songs. There's going to be more songwriting credits from Pork Chop. You got a credit. Modern Prometheus was written by me and Pork Chop together. You're going to have a few, and you may even have a solo songwriting credit on this one, I think. Yeah, we'll figure that out. We don't know what song. We've still got 40 songs left to put out on an album.
Try to whittle it down.
I think it's going to be kind of a prequel. So I think what we'll do on this next one is it's going to tell the story from my younger, wilder oat sowing days through the marriage, whereas this one kind of takes place right at the end and kind of those days post marriage. So it's going to be the prequel album to Night Terrors.
Yeah, when we get to that point, we will tell you which order to listen to them in, so you get the whole story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, eventually we'll re-release them in high definition and add some weird CGI characters that weren't in the originals. All right, so Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, please, we want you to be our champions, right? Like, we need that more than anything else as a band. We want you to love the record. We really hope you do. As much as we enjoy playing and all of that, like, when you put that much effort into something, like, you really hope that that's reciprocated from the people that listen, and we really hope that you can feel something when you listen to it. If you do, please tell everybody you know about it. Please share it. Please like all of our pages. Emmylou, if you don't mind, one more time, will you put the link for the DistroKid thing into the chat?
I will.
Just to make sure it's out there. We have a live show coming up at Magnetic South here in Anderson. It'll be, as of right now, it's going to be the first live show post-album release. It's a month away, so it'll be February 21st. So there's always a chance that something pops up before that. Follow the socials. But if not, it should be a really good time, and we'd love for you to come out and see us. We'll definitely play some of the songs. I don't know if we can pull off the Modern Prometheus as a three-piece band just yet, but we'll play the majority of the album at that show. And if you like what you hear, we would love to hear that from you in person at that point in time. So February 21st, Magnetic South in Anderson. We're also proud partners of Guttersville Records. I can't express enough how much that made a difference. I did not know that was a thing. When we started making this record, Guttersville was something we kind of played with 10, 15 years ago. I did not know that it was going to come back around when we started recording this. I don't know how we would have gotten to the end of this process without those guys. Figuring out the recording, the songwriting, the musician stuff, that was things that came pretty natural to us. Figuring out how to distribute, release, promote, those are things that do not. And not only that, but to have talented musicians that we really respect, to be able to bounce ideas off of, to test things out with, to try things out with, to give us honest, critical feedback, that is an invaluable thing to have. If you're a musician out there in this area and you're interested in being a part of our collective, reach out to guttersvillerecords@gmail.com. We would love to hear what you're doing and love to hear more from you. If you're a visual artist that would like to collaborate, podcasts, anything like that would like to be a part of what we're doing, we would love to collaborate with you. Follow all the Guttersville social pages too, and upcoming albums, Chromacombs, once again, coming out on Valentine's Day, Neon Dijons, coming out in March, and Cowlick Moon coming out in April. Really excited about all of those. You can already hear, at least from Chromacombs and Cowlick Moon, some singles. Also, go back and listen to the Straying Tales from Guttersville. Talk about learning a distribution lesson. You get your album cover kicked out for having writing on the front, and then they somehow miss a typo, and our album Strange Tales becomes Straying Tales. Thanks. Good job, Seth. But anyway, go back and listen to that. One lesson that we learned is, like, it may not be the best idea to promote something as a holiday album, even if the holiday's Halloween, because after Halloween, everybody stops listening to it. Those songs work 12 months out of the year. It's not a Christmas record. So go listen to Straying Tales from Guttersville. You can find that on all major streaming services right now. And go listen to frickin' Night Terrors if you haven't listened already. Please, we really want you to. All right, so you've been sitting around this whole time wondering if these musicians ever shut up and play a song. I think we're going to play you a tune. Let me get my harmonics. Nolan, talk to him while we're going.
Yeah, Matt just texted me. He says, "Play Pegasus."
Yeah, this one's called Pegasus.
Nolan has spoken.
as you can tell, I'm not an MC by trade like the rest of these guys.
But when you talk, it's important.
Yes, I don't talk unless it's something that needs to be said.
Like add the saxophone back to that song.
Yeah.
Hope the guitars are still in tune.
We'll find out.
So, kind of a cool thing about this song is Pork Chop and I used to work together at a different radio station, not the one he works at now.
It's defunct.
Yeah, that's a good word. So he was Pork Chop and I was Pork Chop 2. Not
Yeah.
like TOO, like number 2,
Yeah.
which is how I felt like crap every time somebody called me that. No, I'm just kidding. So he was Pork Chop and I was Pork Chop 2. And he was my boss for a while before we played in a band together. He couldn't have been my boss once we were in a band together. He learned too much stuff about me. And we had this little pig. We had this little winged pig.
I think my wife gave it to me. I'm not sure.
Really? Yeah.
It
Shout
was
out to
a-
Con- Can we
Yeah,
call
shout
her
out to
name?
Connie.
Hey,
It
Connie.
was, I think, and if you didn't, I'm giving her credit anyway. It was a little pig, and it was had a solar sail on top, and it had wings on it. And when the lights were on, its little wings would flap. And that's kind of
Yep, I think that was the inspiration for the
the
song.
impetus for this.
You know,
yeah.
I've been Pork Chop forever, and I was like, well, you know, this pig could fly. And the whole idea, like, you know, a winged pig, like, that's a really cool thing to be, but it's not as cool as being a winged horse.
That's right.
I wouldn't complain if I was born a horse. So,
That's right.
y'all want to come join us?
Yes.
I don't know if they can see you right there. Come on up to the couch. Just sit back so you don't hit guitars. You'll never get what you deserve if you don't charge what you're worth. These days it's hard enough to find steady work. What good is self-respect in the grander scheme when you gotta feed the kids off that hill of beans? Whoever said you'll never work if you love what you do? Never spent 3 nights behind a mic with the flu. Cut it down to the quick and every job is the same. We're all just trying to make it through to the end of the day. I'm just a pig with a set of wings, rooting around wondering how to get rid of these things. I'm a victim of fate, I'm a child of divorce, but I wouldn't complain if I was born a horse. And I'm standing up here on the edge of the cliff, calculating aerodynamics and lift. Got my faith in the sun, stretch out my wings, I get a running start. Try not to scream. If I was meant to watch my mouth, it wouldn't be on my face. I've been awkward in love, made my share of mistakes. The more foolish the man, more convinced that he's right. Sometimes it takes the fool to try to show us the light. When life gives you lemons, make sure to spit out the seeds. And if you want to make a point, make sure it bleeds out. Often do we get to give a piece of our minds? Often do we get to prove that pigs can fly? And I'm just a pig with a set of wings, rooting around wondering how to get rid of these things. I'm a victim of fate, I'm a child of divorce, but I wouldn't complain if I was born a horse. And I'm standing up here on the edge of the cliff, favorite part of the record, honestly.
Did I do good?
Y'all did great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Look at
So as you can tell, you want to help us out there? As you can tell, there's one principle as musicians, or as a musician, that matters to me more than anything. You don't need nice gear. You don't need to have a lot of money. You don't need pretty to be pretty, regardless of what TikTok will tell you. You just gotta have. What's Willie said? You can't make a record if you ain't got something to say.
That's right.
You gotta have something to say. You gotta feel it, and you have to have the urge to create. Right? It is one of the greatest things of my life. It has kept me out of trouble. It's lifted me up when I've been down. One thing that really matters, and one thing we're going to start doing back again, are the Sunday sing-alongs. I encourage you, if you don't play, we may have some tough times coming up. It's been a tough decade so far, man.
Yeah.
It's been a tough decade. And we're halfway through it. If you need something to help you get by, go get anything. Go get a recorder and try to learn Happy Birthday. You'll probably do better than I did. Get a keyboard, get a guitar, get a ukulele, get a drum. That's a great place to start. Go get an instrument, learn how to play, and I hope you get as much joy out of it as we do, and I hope you appreciate the record and you get joy out of listening to it as much as we got. I don't know if joy is the right word, but fulfillment and accomplishment
I think
making it for you.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you, Splinters, Saplings. Why don't you tell us how you feel about those?
Yeah.
And we hope to see you back around again soon. Go listen to Night Terrors.
Night
out now.
Terrors.
All major streaming services. Guttersville Records.